And now, straight out of Boston, Massachusetts, it's time for Entertainment Talk Nation, your number one entertainment talk show, discussing everything from the movies to video games and more. And now, here is your host, Robert Rosado.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Monday morning on this March 5th, 2018. This is the E.T.N. Podcast. Oh boy, what a night at the Oscars. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Also, we're going to cover the Black Panther topic I wanted to discuss last week. Didn't get to it. I'll explain that in a minute, but that kind of segues into the Oscar thing. We're going to talk about Dragon Ball Super. Something we haven't discussed yet since I've been doing the podcast, and I really want to talk about that. I saw this weekend's episode. It was pretty cool, but definitely talk about that a little bit. We're also going to talk a little bit about gaming, very small piece. I just want to talk about this. We'll get into it a little bit later, but basically my thoughts on this whole microtransaction thing going on in the industry that just progressively gets worse. And also a very fun collaboration on a video game that I like to play. I very commonly play Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Some of you have seen the videos I've done. They have a very interesting collaboration going on that I didn't see coming, but it makes sense because it's a Square product. And yeah, we're going to get into some of that stuff. So, first thing I want to mention is last week, I know I only did roughly like 2 videos. I did one long podcast, and then I did the character profile video for the Godzilla 2 movie. So just to let you guys know, I was a little bit absent towards the middle and later part of the week simply because we had a huge storm over here that started Wednesday night and pretty much carried over into, I want to say Saturday morning almost. And, it got so bad out here that even my kids, their school was canceled. We lost electricity here. So combination of those two things are the reason I didn't do more videos last week. So, it wasn't too bad. I mean, we lost electricity pretty much sporadically in and out. We were in and out. Some of my family members who live in the same town, but on the other side, they lost electricity for hours on end. So it was a pretty rough week last week. Especially with the kids staying home and then the electricity in and out. It's just very difficult to do anything consistent when you basically have no electricity. So, that's the reason for my lack of content last week. So I definitely want to get back into doing what I want to do this week. And, we're going to kick it off with Black Panther, which is just destroying the box office, man. I mean, this movie is already over 800 million worldwide. It's definitely going to hit $1 billion. It did another 65 million this weekend. Well, that was as of yesterday when I checked, so it might have done a little bit more. But I mean, look, and it's a great movie. It is a very, very good movie. I enjoyed it. It's great to see, when you think about where Black Panther was in the comics, and he's always had his niche audience and always had some sort of popularity. Never on the level of like the Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain America, Wolverines of the world. Never that level. But now in the cinematic universe, he's obviously front and center now. And to me, I said this a long time ago, during a video shortly after they announced Black Panther, I did a video on this. I do think he's going to lead the next phase of the Avengers and all that. As we see Tony Stark and Iron Man kind of phase out, we don't know if Captain America is going to be around. I think it's safe to assume that we will see remaining characters like Vision, Scarlet Witch, things of that nature. But I do think that Black Panther will be the go-to character for the next phase, him and probably Captain Marvel. That's just a guess. Who knows? These things can change. Maybe Robert Downey Jr. and Marvel decide, hey, let's keep us around. Let's keep going. This thing is hot. Why break what's not fixed? They just got to understand that, the more Robert Downey Jr. is going to command a pretty large salary. I'm pretty sure, Chris Evans would as well if they wanted him to stick around. So we'll see how that goes. But if they decide to move forward into this next phase with a new group of Avengers, with maybe some other Avengers remaining, Avengers that joined on the back half of the first phase, like I said, Vision, Scarlet Witch, and such not. I think Black Panther is going to be the one that's going to kind of be the unspoken leader of that next group. especially with the end of the movie when he comes out and he's basically revealing himself in Wakanda to the world. Now, with that said, there was a lot of controversy, there was a lot of super duper hype for the movie when it first came out. And I discussed this briefly on the live stream 2 weeks ago, the live stream leading into my series of podcasts. And I mentioned how, there was a big racial thing being made of this movie. And it pushed it to hypes of this grand level. Now, I personally don't think it lived up to the grand hype. All right. There's hype and then there's grand hype. Grand hype was all the politicizing and all the super duper praise the movie was getting. I don't believe it lived up to that. If financially, it well exceeded the hype. I mean, I don't think anyone expected it to make close to $1 billion for a character that, from a comic standpoint, was maybe a tier 3 character, anywhere between tier 2 and tier 4. So I don't think anyone expected that. But, there was a lot of things leading into the movie I wasn't even aware of that. And I wanted to talk about this last week, so this is a little bit late to the boat, but I kind of got to get this out because it kind of takes away from the fact that this movie is good in a sense. I mean, yes, it was very successful. Yes, everyone loved it, but everyone loved it because, or a lot of people, I shouldn't say everyone, a lot of people loved it because it's a black superhero. And that shouldn't be about the color of the superhero. It should be about the content and the story, and the character. That should be front and center. So the fact that this movie was so heavily politicized and made about race was disappointing, and that kind of took away a little bit of it for me. And what's interesting is, I was watching some YouTubers, I should say, and none that I'm subscribed to, just a lot of people giving their own take on the Black Panther movie. And sure enough, there was a number of black YouTubers who came out and openly said, I don't know what the big deal is with this movie. I don't know why white people are making it a big deal that there's a black superhero, and then this person, I'm trying to remember his YouTube channel, but he went off and named other characters that were black superheroes well before Black Panther. If you're a comic book fan, or you guys know that obviously Spawn, Blade, the Catwoman movie had Halle Berry's Catwoman, no matter how bad that movie was, but there's another example of a black superhero, and the list goes on and on. And I was watching this guy, and he made a lot of valid points. And he said, look, I don't want to be treated special because I'm black. I want to be treated equally. I don't think it's necessary to have all this attention for a movie. I agree 100%. Yes, we want the movie to get attention. I'm a Marvel fan. You guys know I love Marvel movies. This movie is no exception. But my love for this movie is not because it's a black superhero. My love for this movie is because Black Panther is just a cool character in general. He is. I mean, all the people praising Black Panther and this and that, none of them have read the fucking comic. I mean, let's just be real. None of them have read the comic. Half of them probably don't even know that it was made by 2 white Jewish men, Kirby and Lee. So, but what's worse is the things that I didn't know. And this one was disappointing to me. So apparently a week before the movie came out, there was rage against Michael B. Jordan, leading into the movie because apparently he's not, now get this, because he was not dating a black woman. He's dating a Spanish woman. And he caught flack for that, which is just ridiculous. But that's the world we live in now. And, I know you guys don't like when I talk politics and stuff like that, but here's the truth. And I know a lot of you guys are young, and right now you're not thinking about politics. You're thinking about the things you like, your games, your movies, and stuff like that. And that's all fine and well. I was there. But I'm going to tell you something I wish somebody told me back in those days. But it's going to be more prevalent for you guys. There's no avoiding politics anymore. There really isn't. There's no avoiding it. In fact, a lot of you are going to be smacked in the face with politics the minute you step into college, because a lot of colleges across the nation are very heavily influenced in terms of politics, in particular, liberal movement. And even other schools that are even lower tier. So I'm looking for a word, but I'm just saying. In other words, like elementary schools and high schools and stuff are facing the same thing. I've been talking to my wife about getting my kids ready to go into private school because I live in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is a very heavily liberal state, and it's only a matter of time. But from what I understand, there is a curriculum and certain things they're starting to teach in school in regards to telling kids that if they don't want to identify as their gender, they don't have to. Now, look, anybody out there, if you want to put yourself in a position to identify yourself as something that's not what you are, that's your prerogative. That's fine. I'm not going to go with it. You know what I mean? My daughter is not of age to make those decisions yet. I am her parent, and I'm not going to expose her to that. In other words, I don't want her in a position where she's going to be influenced to go one way or the other. I want her to be in a position where she makes her own decision. And I don't like the public school influence that's happening. And because of that, I have to consider putting my daughter in private school so she can focus on learning and not worrying about whether she should be identified as a male or a female at the age of 6 years old. So I know you guys hate when I talk politics, but this is where we are now. This is where we are. And you guys are going to get hit with this. When you go into college, be ready. Do a little homework now. And another reason I bring this up is because, yeah, I love talking entertainment, but if you haven't noticed, it's kind of hard to talk entertainment when there's always politics involved. This obviously segues into last night's Oscars, which I did not watch. I haven't watched the Oscars in God knows how long. Number one, the show's too goddamn long. Okay? It's just too goddamn long. Number two, I know I can get the results at the end of the show online, so there's no point in watching. But now, what even turns me away from the Oscars more than anything is the constant politics. Constant. This illusion that they're trying to put on TV that this is a racist country. This is not a racist country. Okay? Do we have racism? Yes. That's always going to be there. That's not going anywhere. But is it overall a racist country? No. In fact, a lot of people don't know this, but did you know that the highest amount of people that are on welfare are not even minority? They're not even black or white or Spanish. They're white people. So, I mean, and this, I'm looking at the clips this morning, watching the Oscars, and I used to love Jimmy Kimmel so much, man. I used to love watching Jimmy Kimmel. He was so funny. And now, I don't know if you watch his show, every other fucking night, he's got to get involved in these politics, and he starts fucking crying and this and that. And, oh, we shouldn't, this and I get that. You know what I mean? Look, if I want to know about the what's going on, I watch the news. And I watch all news outlets. Some of them are just grotesque to watch, and some of them are pretty informative. That's where I go for that stuff. When I put on Jimmy Kimmel, I want to laugh and I want to have some fun. Or if I go to a movie but it's gone now. That's all gone. And look at some of the movies that were on this list for Oscar. First of all, some of them I never even fucking heard of. And second, a lot of them had some sort of political message. And that's where we are now. So you can hate the politics all you want. That's fine. You can hate that I'm even talking about it right now. That's fine. But guys, there's no escape. There's no escape. This is how it is now. Politics have always been involved in entertainment. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they never were. But now it's to the point that it's really inescapable. And it's so front and center. Before you used to just hear about your favorite actors and actresses talking about politics during campaigns. Now it's all year round. Suddenly they're all fucking political experts. And when you just want to sit down and watch a movie or watch a show or watch an award show and hear these people maybe tell some jokes and thank everybody who helped them get to where they are. No, now it's all, this is the black Oscars now? I mean, really? This is where we are? Kobe Bryant wins a fucking Oscar. His first attempt at doing anything related to entertainment in the form of a short film, and he gets an Oscar. Now, granted, I didn't see it. It might have been the best thing since sliced bread. Who knows? But I highly doubt that anybody in the entertainment industry who has zero experience doing cinema of any kind has come out of the woodwork and won the Oscar for a short film. Maybe in a large film, there's always that one director who knocks it out the box his first time out. But even directors who have come out of the box hot and have made a hit film have not won an Oscar with their first, or they've been in the industry long enough and they've worked under other people to get to where they are. Kobe Bryant walks through the door, makes one short film about basketball, and wins an Oscar? Are you kidding me? But this is where we are now. And I guarantee you next year, Black Panther will win 9 Oscars or 10 Oscars. It will. It'll win Film of the Year. I do think Michael B. Jordan deserves an Oscar. I will say that. Or at least a nomination. But it would not surprise me if Black Panther is the first superhero film to go into the Oscars with a plethora of nominations. And he will win many of them. And the unfortunate thing is, will Black Panther win because of actual credits and what kind of work was done? Or will it be because there's a lot of guilty Caucasian people in Hollywood that want to follow this movement and continue to follow this whole view that somehow America is a racist country? I don't know anymore. Why? Because I can't watch entertainment and not have to worry about politics anymore. Do I think Black Panther is worthy of Oscar? Anything outside of Michael B. Jordan? I do not. I do not. Logan didn't get nominated for any Oscars, and I thought Logan was a much better movie. It's a different movie, but I think in terms of drama and storytelling, I think Logan is much better. Black Panther was a superhero Marvel movie. That's what it was. It was very different from a lot of the Marvel movies. Yes, absolutely. But there were many similarities. But yeah, there were enough differences to say that it's not exactly like everyone. But is it different enough for it to be considered for an Oscar? Outside of Michael B. Jordan's performance, I don't think so. I really don't. And this is a guy who loves Marvel films. But you'll never sit here and hear me say, hey, I think this Marvel... No, I don't think any of the Marvel films deserve Oscars. But then, that kind of makes us think now, because something else that I've thought about is, why? Why aren't movies like Black Panther or Iron Man or Captain America or whatever, why aren't they considered for Oscars? Did you know that of all the movies nominated for Movie of the Year at the Oscars, only 2 of them made a profit? Some of them were even considered flops at the box office. Why are we rewarding movies that most people don't even go to see? Because they give a great performance? Well, what's a great performance now? I mean, can we at least take into consideration that when you film a movie like a Black Panther, or you film a movie like Captain America, that outside of the acting that these men are doing, men and women, I should say, but they're also doing a lot of physical work. I mean, Tom Hanks was in The Post. How much training did Tom Hanks do for that movie? Probably zero. Probably zero. So maybe it's time we just change the Oscar dynamic altogether. I'm not saying a movie like, I'm not saying like a movie like Dunkirk doesn't deserve a nomination. I'm very sure it does. I haven't seen any of those movies on that list. I'm sure The Shape of Water is fantastic, as weird as it sounds, but that's Guillermo del Toro's kind of thing. He does weird movies, and a lot of them are very good. I'm not saying any of the movies nominated were bad. I haven't seen them, but you know why I haven't seen them? Because, and I've said this in the past in some of my videos, it is worth it to my wallet more to go see something that's extravagant than something that's dramatic. Because honestly, I feel like it's worth my money more I feel like I'm getting my money's worth when I go see a movie like Black Panther, Justice League, or even a Transformers movie if I want to turn off my brain for a half hour. Not saying that Transformers ever deserves an Oscar. It doesn't. But my point is this. If I got to pay $20 to sit in the theater for 2 hours, I'd rather see bells and whistles than someone walk around and give heartfelt, you know what I mean? Like, those movies to me are worth waiting for on DVD. A movie like Dunkirk, a movie like The Post. It's not saying that they're bad. It's not saying that they're not worth seeing. They're just not worth paying to go see anymore. They're not. They're not. They're too expensive. When you look at it from pure entertainment value, I'm getting the bells and the whistles and the decent storytelling with the action sequences and stuff like that, all the special effects, all the eye candy. Or do I go see Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks try to, expose the government in the press? And, you know what I mean? It's just not worth $20 to go see that. It doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It's just not worth spending $20 for. Because I'd rather put my $20 in a movie like Black Panther, where I'm going to see a good story. I'm going to see action. I'm going to get a little bit of everything. Hell, maybe I'll go see The Post when it comes out on Blu-ray or on digital. And maybe I'll decide, hey, you know what? It was worth going to see Black Panther over this in the theater because I thought Michael B. Jordan gave just as intense a performance in his movie as Tom Hanks did in his. So why would I pay $20 to see that? That's how a lot of people are seeing this now. I know some people are like, yeah, that sounds great. No. This is why those movies that get nominated for Oscars don't do good at the box office. It's not that people don't like them. It's not that they're not good movies. They're not worth paying $20. I say $20 because you figure minimum $10 a person. They're not worth it anymore. Ticket prices are too high to waste time watching two people have a dialogue as opposed to watching two people go through an action sequence. That's what it comes down to. You want to get the most for your money, and most times people are going to choose the bells and whistles. That's it. It's the bottom line. And this is why I think the Oscars should start changing, because these action movies are not bad movies. Black Panther is, again, I don't think it's Oscar worthy from today's standards, but I think it deserves something for what it's accomplished. Irregardless of the fact that I think the hype had a lot to do with it, and I don't think it personally lived up to that kind of hype, the super hype. I think it lived up to its general comic hype, because Black Panther Black Panther was going to exceed what it did in the comics regardless. It just happened to super exceed it because of the movement. But maybe the Oscars should start changing how they award movies now. Because even beyond Black Panther and before Black Panther, Wonder Woman, fantastic movie. And why do we have to constantly judge these movies on either how great their stories are or how much their actors perform? You're going to tell me that Michael B. Jordan didn't give an intense performance in his movie? Fine. He wasn't in the movie very long, so maybe you give him a Best Supporting nomination as opposed to a Best Actor. I mean, this is where we are now. I don't think the Dunkirks of the world, and it doesn't mean that you still can't give these dramatic movies an award, but I think they should have a separate category for that. Best Drama Movie of the Year and Best Action Movie of the Year. Just a thought. I mean, if 100 million people are going to see a movie, I think it deserves something for that. As opposed to a couple of million going to see Dunkirk. It doesn't mean Dunkirk should be left out of the awards, but maybe it doesn't deserve as much praise for not putting people in the seats, because Hollywood can say all they want. Oh, we do this for the art. And again, I've seen highlights from last night's Oscars. Oh, we don't do this for the money. You do it for the fucking money. Let's just be real. Okay? It doesn't mean that there's directors that don't want to go out and put a good story out there. They do. But at the end of the day, all the filming companies and all the productions and the studios, they want that dollar. So, yes, I still think movies that were nominated last night, if they're that good and they deserve some award for performance, it's fine. But I think it's time that big budget blockbusters get their moment at the Oscars, because just because they're action sequences, it doesn't mean that the actors in that movie are not working just as hard to give a performance. It doesn't mean the actors in that movie are not working hard, not only in front of the camera, but behind the camera. All right. You can't be Black Panther without working out for at least 6 months to a year. Okay. But Tom Hanks can be Forrest Gump by just stepping on the set. Tom Hanks can play, a journalist from the Post by just stepping on set. I don't think Tom Hanks had to work out for a year to play that role. And that's the part of these performances that are not being seen. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. So, on top of that, all the shit going on last night, this is why people don't watch anymore. This is why the ratings are always so goddamn low. It's not because people agree or disagree with what they're seeing. People don't give a fuck about what celebrities have to say. Doesn't mean that they're not entitled to say it, obviously, because they have that right, just like I have my right to speak it here, whether you guys like it or not. But there's not millions of people watching me or listening to me. There are millions of people watching and listening to these people. Millions of people who, when they go see their movies or listen to their music or watch their shows, are essentially paying them. Not directly, but obviously the more exposure you get and the more successful your exposure is, the more you have to thank the public for that. But they're not getting that. No matter how low the ratings shoot to on the Oscars every fucking year, these celebrities don't get it. Why? Why do they have to? They're millionaires. They're millionaires. They can say whatever they want. They don't care. The bottom line is they don't care whether you like it or not. The important thing is that it makes them feel morale. High moral. Like they're taking a moral high ground. They feel like it makes them look like great people. And maybe some of them are great people. But it's easy to spit all this thing about gun control when you have a fenced mansion with armed security. It's easy to speak about racism, okay, when you're the minority and there's a bunch of savvy rich white people who are feeling guilty, so they prop you up. Forget the fact that you should have your own pride and do your own thing without the help or assistance. It's funny, this whole thing about racists against white people, but we have no problem taking their assistance, putting us up on the pedestal. And you know what? I was happy as a Puerto Rican to not hear a goddamn thing from Puerto Ricans until I saw the clip of that Cameron performance with the guy pulling out the Puerto Rican flag. And I said, damn, we went almost a year without saying a goddamn thing and somebody had to go and ruin it. You know why? Let me tell you something, okay? I'm Puerto Rican. I've said this a long time ago, obviously on many of my different videos, and I had a very interesting conversation with my parents recently because they went to see John Leguizamo on Broadway, and he had a comedy show, but also a show that, while very funny, was also, now he's very liberal, but he did, from what my parents said, put on a very good show. My parents are not liberal, that's the funny thing, but neither here nor there. They loved the performance, they thought it was great. And it was also educational in the fact that he spoke about how Hispanic people have also had their own genocide and oppression that no one ever talks about. Now, to me, this wasn't new knowledge. I've known this, because many years ago during my first marriage, I learned a lot about that because, anybody who's Latin or is from Latin America region, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Dominican Republic, so on and so forth. Those all have native Indian heritage. Like, for example, a lot of Puerto Ricans are Taino. A lot of people from Mexico are Incan or Mayan or whatever, or Mayan descent, and so on and so forth. So that bloodline between Spanish people and Native American Indians in terms of Latin America region, that southern region, it's very common. You know what I mean? But those races, all those many years ago, were also genocidally killed. Some of them were also put into slavery. Any Latin, any person who's Latin, your descendants were genocidally killed and all this and all this. Now, do you see us crying about that? I'm very proud to sit here and say I have not complained once about being oppressed or my people being genocidally killed. No, I shouldn't say my people, but my ancestors being genocidally killed many years ago. You know why? Because there's no one to blame. The people who did that are dead. They're long gone. I'm not going to sit here and blame my neighbor for being white and blame him for what happened to my ancestors many years ago. Why would I? They didn't have anything to do with it. And guess what? He's not stopping me from succeeding in this world. So why would I feel oppressed or even any sense of racism from him? And guess what? You ready for this one? This is the best part. Guess what? I don't give a fuck if he's racist anyway. You know why? He's still not stopping me from what I'm doing in life. That's the beauty of this country. Nobody can stop you from what you want to do. You know why? Because no one gives a shit about you. And I know I kind of flew off there. I went a little bit directly political, but it coincides with what I'm trying to say about this whole racist thing in America. It's just not there. And it sucks when I want to watch my favorite show or my favorite movie and this and that, and there's got to be a fucking political or racist message in there every step of the way. And again, I'm sorry, you guys. I know this is not the stuff you want to hear in my podcast, but this is how it is now. Again, politics have taken front and center in the entertainment industry, whether you like it or not. And when you guys get to college, if you're not there already, you are going to be smashed. If you hate hearing me take one podcast to talk about politics because it's involved in entertainment, you're going to hate college. You are going to be inundated with politics when you get to college. You're going to have people telling you that it's okay to blame somebody else for your failures. You're going to have someone tell you that if you're not feeling good or if you're feeling hurt, your feelings, or if you feel offended, they're going to have a place where you can go to sit down and be comforted. You're going to be taught that there's more than two genders. There isn't. So anyway, so that's my thing on Black Panther and the Oscars, because they, like I said, they both go sides kind of hand in hand. Politics is fully invaded. And again, politics have always been involved in entertainment, but just not like it is now, where it's so front and center, it kind of makes you want to vomit. But hey, hopefully that won't last forever. I think at one point they'll get the message. Maybe they can move on from it. Who knows? I doubt it. Okay, Dragon Ball Super. Man, this has been one long saga. Very long. And I gotta say, I think this will be it. I mean, how much further are they going to take these guys? You know what I mean? I don't know if there's anywhere else to go. I mean, what is he now? Super Saiyan Angel? That's what it looked like. I mean, it was great. Don't get me wrong. It's always a lot of fun to see Dragon Ball, and see these guys, these characters push their limits and their boundaries. But I mean, I don't think they can get any further. I really don't. I mean, and maybe some creative writing will take it there. I don't know. I don't know when this is, I mean, we got 2 more episodes before what's supposed to be a break. Or some people saying that might be the end. If it's the end, that's fine. I can't see them going beyond this. I mean, they're basically going to prevent, hopefully, the universe from being erased. And I mean, how much more can you ask of anybody? if saving the universe and reaching the level of a Super Saiyan angel, that's what I'm going to call it now. That's what it looked like. I know it's Ultra Instinct, but he went even a little bit beyond Ultra Instinct. I don't see where they can go from here. I really don't. I thought the saga was very, very, very long. A lot of them were long, but man, this one is kind of up there with Frieza, where the planet was going to explode for a whole season almost. This saga was very long. For a 45-minute battle, it took more than 45 episodic minutes for the fucking battle to be over. It took had to be, I mean, I don't know. I got to look back. You figure each episode's about 20 minutes. So, and this saga started shortly after Goku Black Saga. I mean, it's got to be like up in the teens and hours, right? At least, right? Because you figure every 3 episodes is an hour. I don't know, but anyway, who cares? I thought it was good. I thought it was a lot of fun. Jiren is proven to be a very, very strong adversary. He seems to be stepping it up even more. I think this Dragon Ball Super, I will say this. I like the Goku Black Saga, and I like this saga. Everything else I could do without. So hopefully they end this on a strong note. I do want to get more Dragon Ball. I just don't know if they're going to get any further than where they are. You know, I mean, man, or you know, especially if because they said in the episode, he mastered Ultra Instinct. So mastered means he can use it whenever. So where do you go beyond Ultra Instinct? I mean, that's essentially what Whis has. And Whis is like, I guess kind of like an angel, right? She's got that big halo around, like, not her head, but her neck. She's supposed to be stronger than Beerus, so Goku has surpassed the gods, much like Jiren. I don't know. I just don't see them, you know. That doesn't mean that you can't do a show with, you know, a Dragon Ball Z without having to have them exceed their limits. You know what I mean? They can still make a very compelling, well, I shouldn't say compelling, but they can still do a very entertaining show without having to have them reach a new level. But one of the cool things about Dragon Ball is every time they do face a threat that seems to supersede their own powers, they break through. They find a way. What else can you make outside of Ultra Instinct? I don't know. I mean, I guess we thought the same thing when they said Super Saiyan God. We were saying, oh, God level. Well, that's it. Well, now that Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan back in Battle of the Gods looks like shit now compared to what they have. And that wasn't that long ago. So, I mean, it's pretty funny. But look, overall, I think the Dragon Ball Super has been pretty fun. I can't wait to get them all on DVD to add to my collection. And I'm still interested. I'm still not 100% sure that Goku's going to win this. I know you're like, well, of course he is, but I'm not 100% sure. So, we'll see. We'll see. Pretty interesting. Got 2 more episodes left. Then they're doing another movie, which I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to be about. And then hopefully they come back, or if they don't come back, then maybe that might be it. And we'll see. We will see. So, yeah, video games. So, okay. We all know about microtransactions. We all hate them. I am okay with microtransactions as long as the game that it's for is free. For example, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. You guys have seen, I've done videos on this. It's a series that I want to do. Hopefully when I go back to doing regular videos, I'll continue that. But that game has microtransactions. But another thing I like about the game is even with the microtransactions, they are very, 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 very generous with their gifts sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes their giveaways are not all that great. But they've been known to give some really good giveaways. And I'm talking about free stuff, not just stuff you have to buy. Or if you do have to buy some of the stuff they have to offer, it's very highly discounted. So, and it's just a fun game. It's just a fun game to have it's like a Final Fantasy All-Stars. Anyway, so they're doing a collaboration with Tomb Raider this week. And speaking about, and this is, the point I'm trying to get is this is microtransactions done well. They're putting out Tomb Raider. It's a limited thing where you have 2 weeks to get whatever units they have on that particular banner. But they're giving away Lara Croft. If you're a player in the game, they give away Lara Croft for free. Okay, that's great. If you're going to periodically pay for content in a game like a gacha game, like a free-to-play microtransaction game like this, then it helps when the developers have giveaways. And that's one of the things about the game is that overall they do have some pretty good giveaways. They were recently in the slump earlier this year, but they've managed to right the ship in the last couple of weeks. Now compare that to Metal Gear Survive, which I know you guys have all heard about this, with the save slot being charged, or you being charged $10 to get one extra save slot. This is absurd. You would think after what happened with EA, why the fuck would anyone try this anymore? It's, when you're a AAA title and you make a game, and it's one thing if you have extra content that you want to sell for like $14.99 and it gives you a bunch of new stuff. I'm cool with that too. I am. If you played, let's say you pay $64, that's what I pay after tax here in Massachusetts, and you play the game for 4 months, 5 months. You get a lot out of it. Great game, this and that. You played through the quest and all this and all that. 45 to 60 hours later, you're done with the game and you enjoyed yourself. That's good value. And if the developers come out with an expansion or a mini expansion or extra content, let's say is like $14.99 or $15.99, that's fine. I'm cool with that. But when you make a AAA game and you're charging full price, and then you have microtransactions in the game similar to what Battlefront 2 had, and Battlefront 1, or any fucking EA game for that matter, because even the Madden games do it now. The FIFA games do it. Every EA game has microtransactions, which is just appalling. But they keep doing this because people keep buying the goddamn games. And that's the shitty part, is that there are some people who are just addicted to the games to the point where they don't care. They just don't. It's like a drug for them. They tap their wrist and they take the needle. But this is why I don't really buy AAA games anymore. I'll buy once in a while, Like, I think the last one I bought was Monster Hunter World. That was the last AAA game I bought. But in between that, most of the games I play, like the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, where I can pay out of my own pocket when I feel like I want to, and because I love the game so much and I have so much fun playing it, that I'm willing to make an investment into the development of the game by buying the Lapis. And every now and then, and more often than not, for the most part of my experience, since playing the game, since it's near release, they do giveaways. I mean, man, it's really, like the Lara Croft thing. I was like, damn, Lara Croft. I'm sitting here debating, do I want to pull for this? Do I want to invest money in this? Only to find out that you get her for free? Oh, that's it. They just saved me like $20. Because I probably would have invested $20 to try and get her. But, yeah, to me, that is you investing in developers of a game that is initially free. And you get a lot for it being free, especially considering it's a gacha game, and you invest when you want, when you feel it's worth it. Like, there might be a couple of banners that come out that I'm like, I'll pass on this. But it isn't like when the Cloud banner came out, when Cloud came out for Final Fantasy VII for the game, that's when I made my investment. And that's what it comes down to. You're investing in them so they can continue to make content that you like. And I love the game. But if I'm going to play a game like Battlefront 2, if I'm paying $60, I want some upfront rewards for my investment. And from what I understand, there wasn't much of a reward for that game other than the fact that it's very beautiful. But I heard the storyline was shit. I know there was a lot of people in the nation praising it, and that's all fine and well. You're entitled to do that. Not taking away your fun. But considering what they had to offer versus what I would have had to pay for, no. And now this Metal Gear Survive, boy, I mean, Konami is just making, what's his name, Kojima? They're just making him look like gold right now. They just prove right there that they can't do Metal Gear without him. That's it. Konami, this is one of their few remaining IPs that they had that could keep them afloat. They're done. They're done. There's no way they come back from this. I can't imagine. Because I heard the game is shit to begin with. I heard not only is the game bad, but you got to pay $10 for one slave slot. That is insane. What were they thinking? What do these companies think? It's like they're at the point now where they just... And you know what the sad thing is? They probably made a good profit off of that. That's the sad part. And that's the reason why these companies are going to keep pushing it. You wait and see. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Because look, as much as people complained about EA doing what they did for Battlefront, they're not taking away the microtransactions. The heat was good, but it wasn't good enough. It's getting to a point, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't want these crazy microtransactions in your games, you're going to have to stop buying. That's the only way to let these people know that you don't agree with their practices. We have to contain ourselves and not buy the game. No matter how bad we want it, no matter how good it looks. What's more important to you, the game or your finances? Maybe, you know, if you're a kid and you still live at home, maybe you don't have a care in the world. That's one thing. But for some of you old jacks out there like me, you know you got to watch that wallet. You got to watch that wallet. We got rent and bills and stuff. So we have to be very selective about what we buy. This is why I don't buy EA games. I think the last Madden I bought was 2 years ago. I used to buy Madden games once every 3 years. Now I'm not buying them at all. Not buying them at all. Because the last one I played, when I saw all the microtransactions in the game, I couldn't believe it. And if you don't make some sort of investment in those microtransactions to help you get cards to get better players, you can forget about competing online. Which kind of sucked because that's what I wanted to do it with. But anyway, that's that. So it's just very, very, very unfortunate that the video game industry is continuing to go down this path. If they want to do it, then they should make their games free. Honestly, they should. That's the only time I can accept microtransactions is when the game is completely free. Outside of that, if you got microtransactions, there better not be a price tag on that game. Period. So, you know, it's funny. Looking at the entertainment industry as a whole, you know, and just kind of summarizing here, you know, with the gaming industry, you have this push for microtransactions. The movie and film industry, you have this big political movement. And, you know, it's unfortunate because entertainment is what we used to look at entertainment as an escape from the real world, if not just for a little while. Cause you know, we all work all week, Monday through Friday, some of us on the weekends, we work long hours, you know, we take care of our family, we help take care of our family, we take care of our kids or whatever, or we're paying for our college. So sometimes when you have all this going on in your life, you want to take that 2 or 3 hours to get away. Whether it's log into your favorite game and get lost in a couple of games of whatever, or whether it's go to the theaters and see the newest release of a Marvel movie. And you could get away from the everyday life grind of the bad news, you know, the politics and your responsibilities. If not, now there's no escape. There's no escape anymore. And that sucks. That sucks. You know, it's just amazing how things have changed in a year. And can we, and some people think, oh, because Trump's president, maybe it is. You know, they hate him that much, but do they really? I mean, where would the media be right now without Trump? They have something to talk about every day. It doesn't matter if it's good media coverage or bad media coverage. Every day, these guys are talking about Donald Trump. So, I mean, you know, it just, oh my God. I mean, I can tell you from a ground level, as your regular average Joe that goes to work and does his job and this and that, the country is not as bad as people are making it out to be. It really isn't. It really isn't. So, anyway, guys, yep, I know, once again, and I'll repeat myself for the 100th time, this is not what you expect in a video. But after watching last night, it's become evident to me that this is just the world we're going to have to accept for now. Those days of escaping the politics and the news and your everyday grind to have a couple hours of pleasure in your favorite source of entertainment is gone. Because now if you go to video games, you got to fork over more money if you want to play a game, you know. And if you try to go to a movie or watch your favorite show or even an award show, you're going to get hit in the face with politics one way or the other. There's no escape anymore. And that's really the point of this podcast, is that's just how it is. You know, I know how much you guys hate it. I know, believe me, I know. But it doesn't matter how much you hate it anymore. This is where we are. So now you got to kind of accept it or just become a hermit. That's basically it. Just become a hermit. Because you can't tell me if you watched the Oscars last night that you didn't notice. Everybody had to notice. From what I've read this morning and from the clips that I've seen, it was front and center. There's no way you could avoid it. So, what do you guys think? How do we get back to where we were, where politics and things were not as prevalent as they are now in entertainment? And how do we get these video game companies to stop trying to milk us for every last fucking dollar? What do we do? I know what we can do, but the question is, do people out there have a strong enough will to follow suit, to get things back to the way they were? And that's the problem. I don't think people do. I think there's a lot of people out there who do not have the willpower to not buy the game that's basically screwing everybody, or to not go and support the movie or the show that's shoving things down their throat that they don't want to see or talk about. And when are celebrities going to learn that while they are entitled to their opinion and they're entitled to say what they want, when are they going to learn that we don't care to have them shove it down our throats? I mean, the essence of ETN was Entertainment Talk Nation. Now that hasn't changed. The landscape has changed. This is why this podcast today is more political than ever, because that's the landscape we've been given. I can't avoid it. I can't avoid it. No matter what I do, I can't avoid it. It's right there. So, I don't know. We'll see. We're going to be back Wednesday with a long podcast again. We're going to talk about wrestling. So we'll be reviewing and discussing SmackDown and Raw, leading into Fastlane, which should be fun for all you wrestling guys out there. Obviously, we'll talk more about anything that comes up in the next couple of days in the entertainment industry. We're going to continue the Godzilla profile characters this week. We're also going to do, excuse me, and this is on the shorter video notion. We're also going to do, outside of that, we're also going to do a speculation video. You know, I want to talk about The Walking Dead, and I completely dismissed it. So we'll revisit The Walking Dead on Wednesday. But in terms of the shorter audio cast coming this week, obviously we're going to continue the character profiling or character discussions for Godzilla 2, which also will continue to be upgraded and discussed as months go by, as we find out more. But we're also going to do a speculation video, something that I wanted to talk about, not even really related to any of the movies, but it's just something that crossed my mind. I wanted to discuss it, and it has to do with the link between Mothra, Monarch, and potentially the twins. So we'll get into that video sometime this week, and then we'll continue forward. I'm looking to start the Patreon in April, hopefully. So, and then we'll discuss maybe doing another live stream either the end of this week or the end of next week. Probably the end of next week, because this weekend's my son's birthday. So anyway, guys, that's it for this podcast. And again, you know, just think about what I'm telling you, especially for you young guys out there going to college. You might hate it, but you got to start learning about it. You got to start educating yourself, because there's going to come a time very soon in your lives that it's going to get shoved down your throat, and you want to be ready for it. You want to be ready to fight back on what people tell you should be feeling and how you should be thinking, because you want to do that on your own. You don't want any influence from anyone else. So, all right, guys, that's it for this podcast. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news. We just talk entertainment, and now, of course, politics and entertainment, unfortunately. Take it easy.
Thank you for listening to Entertainment Talk Nation. Don't forget to rate and follow and visit us on YouTube at ETN, where you can subscribe to the channel for daily content.